Hello, and this is the Black Dimension, and welcome to our Transformers discussion. We're pretty much just going to discuss on this broadcast our experience with the Transformers, through our experience with the nostalgia piece and the recent series of Bay movies. And basically, we want to discuss and come up for ourselves if we can recover from this these five films. So with me is Roger and Donnie. What's up, guys?
What's going on, my fellow brethren of the Black Dimension?
Yes, sir. How about it, Raj? Okay, Roger's away right now. Well,
Roger's
let's
just
get right in.
stunned that I am the number one YouTuber, and he's got to sit in my presence. He's having a hard time dealing with that. But you know what? It is what it is.
Okay, so let's get to it. Nope, not that. Wrong sound. Well, anyway, guys, let's put some up on the screen here so we can get right to it. All right, the Transformers. Now, I'll say my first experience from the Transformers to present day. My first experience was remember WGN, the Bozo Show.
Oh yeah,
I'm from a different color.
Yeah.
I've seen that once. But that didn't come on for me.
I
Okay.
remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of us
Yeah.
had
Because
better childhoods than others. That's all.
I mean, but the one thing they did was they showed the Transformers television cartoon in 10-minute snippets. Like they'll show 10 minutes of the cartoon, and that's how I first got into it. I think the first episodes they showed was called the Ultimate Doom. Basically, they was in this plot to bring Cybertron to Earth so they can drain Earth of all its resources and revitalize Cybertron, which was always the plan for Megatron and the Decepticons. Um, Basically, the story starts out as they leave Cybertron to go find a planet to, inhabit and, get their resources, but the Autobots did, but they were attacked by the Decepticons and they crash landed on Earth and their bodies lay dormant for like 4 million years. And due to a volcanic eruption, it woke up the computer and restored all the Transformers. They restored all the Decepticons first, and then they tried to destroy the Autobots, but they weren't successful. Then the Autobots were restored, and then they met Spike Wiki, Spike and his father Sparkplug, and it was on from there. It was on and popping. So, what was y'all first experience with Transformers?
My first experience was the cartoon show, and they had their own series. Well, as this picture is showing right there, was part of that cartoon show right there. That was my first experience, and I loved them from the beginning, plain and simple.
So for me, 'cause I'm a
Okay.
little bit younger than you guys, my show, I did see this one. I remember bits and pieces of it, and I remember watching as a little kid. But the one that really got me was Beast Wars.
Mm. Yeah,
Man,
yeah, yeah. I actually like Beast Wars. Beast Wars was ruthless. Like it had a very, it had a very great and sort of dark storyline. I mean, and it was like anybody can did in at any time. It was that kind of environment. Because
Yep.
I was actually like shocked that they didn't keep characters around like that. They would kill characters off. I was like,
Anybody,
ooh, yeah.
everybody could go in Beast Wars. Not to mention, our villains were much better. But that's conjecture. Our villains were much better, and it is what it is.
Yeah, but the G1 continuity, everything came from the G1 continuity. Let me give you a little history. Transformers was actually a toy line in Japan. It wasn't even named the Transformers. It was just some kind of toy line where vehicles transformed into robots. So when it became the Transformers when they came to the states, and what happened was they gave all the vehicles names and like the road vehicles. They made them the Autobots, and they made them the good guys. All of the vehicles that turned into everything else, including like planes and Megatron, of course, the gun. They called those guys Decepticons, and they were the bad guys, the antagonists of the series. They had no names till they came over to America.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
How
and
did you have that
really the
much
legend of the.
I was just going to say, how much do you have that much imagination to come up with the vehicles transform into robots and not enough imagination to give them names? But go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, it was amazing that I mean, I had a collection of these toys when I was little, when I was a kid. I mean, Transformers was like my favorite cartoon. And then they weren't even like these are original American symbols right here, the Autobot insignia and the Decepticon insignia.
Mhm.
They didn't have those. They didn't have those in Japan. They came when they came over here. They gave them those insignias, and those insignias are iconic. I can't tell you how many T-shirts and hats that I've had that have had these emblems on there. I think I got a Decepticon shirt laying around here somewhere now, and a Decepticon hat.
Well, every couple of months I see another one on an actual vehicle. You know, as I'm driving in the streets, I see one on a vehicle. So
Oh yeah.
the holdover value is definitely there.
Oh yeah, and Transformers have held up for like a lot of years. Like I remember when the G1 cartoon was canceled. I remember being afraid that it wouldn't come back, and it did time and time again. I mean, it came back. I think actually Beast Wars was the first time Transformers was on TV since the cancellation of the first G1 cartoon. It was Beast Wars, then it turned into Transformers Armada, Transformers Cybertron, and then soon after that came the Bay films. Now, kind of got a tough spot for the Bay films on this one. Well, what do you guys think? What do you think? Like, okay, Roger, G1 as a G1 connoisseur, what do you think the Bay films did to the G1 characters, or just the whole story in general?
Honestly,
And
it I mean, it was definitely different. It was a total different kind of take on them, in my opinion. But honestly, I did actually love the first one. I mean, but that maybe be because I was so excited about having something like good on film to represent the Transformers. Because this is like, I mean, how many years from the G1 cartoon till it actually came on the screen? So I was definitely excited to get to the to see the first movie. And honest to God, truth, I almost bought a Camaro too. Real talk,
yeah,
just because of that film.
everybody wanted that Camaro that Bumblebee turned into, and after that movie came out, that's basically what sold the Camaro, and the most popular color was the Bumblebee yellow.
Yeah, that was the
Uh,
year they brought that Camaro back, if I'm not mistaken. So when they brought that car back, they brought it back with a that was so ridiculous you couldn't beat it. Because I remember in the movie he had the old Camaro, and remember they were driving down, and he seen the new one, and even Bumblebee himself was like, "Ooh, that's a bad car."
Mhm.
Went sideways, scanned the car, and became the new Camaro. That
Yeah,
was that was a major selling point, and I think that was Chevy was the brand that most of the Transformers were, weren't they?
they were like GM vehicles. So Chevy was a part of GM, and
So
it was a lot of anticipation because the movie came out in '07, but the car didn't come out to 2010. You know,
Mhm.
and once it popped out, like a ton of people got them, and I'm talking about I was extremely close to getting one myself. Real talk.
Mhm. All right, now let's talk about how problematic the films were. Okay, yeah, I got quite a few things for you. Okay, now here are the 6 live action Transformer films right here. They're not in order, but in the top left hand corner is the first Transformer film. Now I was very excited about this film coming into it. Especially with the opening scene appearing in the first trailer of the Transformer that turned into the helicopter, which ended up being the Decepticon Blackout. Yeah, I was real excited. It was really a display of showing what they did to make the Transformers come to life. Now, one of the first things I remember when I was seeing like pre-production stuff before this film came out, I wasn't very happy about the designs of the Transformers. But we'll get to the designs in just a second. I have a whole pictorial for that. But why don't we rank these 6 films? I mean, let's exclude Bumblebee because Donnie, you haven't seen Bumblebee yet, have you?
He got knocked off.
Oh, he got knocked off. Oh, let me see if he's back. Let me see if I can get him back on real quick. Excuse me, folks. Yeah, there he is. Boom. All
My
right,
bad.
Donnie. That's no problem. Okay. Let's. I was asking you haven't seen Bumblebee yet, have you,
No,
Donnie?
that was one of the ones I skipped just because I was so disappointed in the last Transformers.
Yeah, the last night. Yeah. So we're just gonna give our brief thoughts on each film, and then I'm gonna go into the designs because I have like side by side comparisons of the designs, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. I had like 20 of them, but we'll be very quick with that. And it's like some of those designs touch my soul because some of those, like being a big fan of the G1 generation. G1, when I say G1, is Generation One, the Generation One continuity, because really the movies were supposed to be based off the Generation One continuity, and they might make a Beast Wars movie one day if Bumblebee, because Bumblebee was well received. So, but I'll talk about that briefly. But the first Transformer film, Ups and Downs. I was saying Ups would probably be uh, Optimus Prime killing Bone Crusher. Okay, spoiler warning for the movie, people. Optimus Prime killing Bone Crusher, the one he fought on the freeway and beheaded with like dispatch with ruthlessness. What about you guys?
That was in 2, wasn't it?
No, that was the first one.
You know what? My answer is going to be the same for the first 3. I enjoyed each and every one of them. Third one is starting to go downhill, but I enjoyed each and every single one of the first 3. I didn't have any major issues with it, but I also keep in mind I wasn't big on the G1, so it didn't really have that. That kind of set the bar for me. So I enjoyed each and every one of the first 3.
Well, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the first one to me was just such the ultimate because, and not taking anything away from the second and third, because I enjoyed them too, but the for I guess that long drought and looking at what could be done in Hollywood to make a movie, and to hear that the Transformers was about to come out, like, man, I was just so on 10, as we used to say back in the day. I was on
Mhm.
so on 10 about trying to see that movie, and I like the fact that they made it realistic. And when I say realistic, because Transformers and alien creatures ain't the most realistic thing, but I'm saying the way they approach the movie as if this were happening in real life, how people would kind of view these different events. I thought that part was very good because yeah, the teenagers kind of accepted them, but they were teenagers. The teenager would accept something so awesome and unbelievable, and they somewhat keep it a secret. But the rest of the world and the worldview of the Transformer was a little bit different. So I dug that. I was hook, line, and sink on that. Real talk.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me speak from a perspective of somebody who really loved the G1 continuity, the IDW comic continuity. Um, okay. I got it with as far as how the Transformers transform. Like, the here's a couple problems I had with it though. Number one, there was like, and I know you have to relate it to the audience, try to share some commonality with the audience, but I felt like there was way too much human element in it, not enough Transformer. And let me explain it like this: the Decepticons didn't really feel like a threat through like Megatron, because of the mystery in the first one. It took a while to reveal it. Like Megatron had to thaw out and everything, and he transformed into this badass alien plane. The Decepticons weren't very developed. They they were all generic. They didn't have separate personalities. I guess because you had to fit in the human story and in the human's connection to the Autobots.
Okay, so let me stop you there. Let me stop you on this. You didn't feel the threat in the police car out Decepticon?
No, what I'm saying, the Decepticons as an overall threat.
Okay.
Okay, the Decepticons kind of in the first one they were kind of that. In the second one, it was the Fallen. The Fallen and him coming to Earth to open up that machine. Megatron was kind of his stooge. But what didn't make sense in Revenge of the Fallen was that if the Fallen can come to Earth because Optimus Prime was there and Megatron kills Optimus Prime, shouldn't Megatron be the big baddie and not the Fallen?
Well, it was interesting to see Megatron as a well, as second class citizen. I'll say on that one because
But
Megatron
but
was always the big bad.
yeah,
Um,
but even going into the third one, it was like Sentinel Prime was the big baddie. It was still like the Decepticons didn't like they just felt like lackeys. They didn't just and oh, here's another thing: the U.S. military was way too powerful in these films. They were way too powerful. That's to me. That's what didn't. That's what made me feel like the Decepticons weren't really a threat. Because when the U.S. military came in and bombed everybody, that was it. That was it. The Decepticons were gone. Whatever Autobots were in the way, they were caught up. They were gone. It was just like, okay. And then, okay, here's the thing that here's how I theorized that entire situation. I was watching some commentary on the first Transformers DVD from Michael Bay. The U.S.
mhm.
military let Michael Bay use a lot of new weapons and new toys, and kind of in return, Michael Bay had to put his lips up against their butts. So the U.S. like this is what my problem was. This is a alien race that was millions of years more advanced in technology than anything on Earth, and the humans still figured out they way around it. They use basic computer hackers to hack into transformer technology, and that should never have happened at all. How could you take the Transformers as a serious threat if they got human hackers and human defenses that can beat them just like that? When they had episodes in the early Transformers where the Decepticons took over the planet. It was like it was nothing the military could do. It's like without the Autobots, like the humans were screwed. And I never felt that through any of these films. Like not at least not from the Decepticons. Now in Dark of the Moon, that threat was there. That threat was there, but it was coming from Sentinel Prime. It wasn't coming from Megatron.
Okay, I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, my thing is, well, I just say like this: some things I have to give way on because it has to progress the movie. You can't get much movie progression without certain little things. Uh, I would say this.
Like like Dark of the Moon. Okay, Shockwave was very redeeming in Dark of the Moon. It felt like it was kind of a threat, but he still wasn't a threat. Like Shockwave with the big driller, like the one that was digging through the ground and then ran when he first saw Optimus Prime. That guy. I thought he was gonna do more in Dark of the Moon. Nope.
I'm gonna say this. The U.S. military. I know when if you use them in your films, you can only make them look so much, not the way they want you to portray them to the audience. So yeah, the U.S. military gonna kind of make you do that. You're not gonna make them look too bad at all. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh man. I mean, but you can make you can make your Transformers a little bit more threatening though. That's the only thing. I mean, it even like that logic. Well, Age of Extinction. Well, not so much the U.S. military because it was like an Age of Extinction. They traded over. They were hunting down the Transformers. They put this special unit on and all this stuff. Even in Age of Extinction, the Decepticons weren't that big a threat.
I say
The-
this, man,
the-
keep in mind there was only one human that really broke into their codes to figure some stuff out. It was only one human that actually did it, and everybody else kind of followed his lead. So now,
Are you talking about from the first film?
well, yeah, from the first film,
Yeah,
the
you talking about Anthony Anderson's
yeah,
character.
Anthony Anderson character, he was the only person that followed. Now, granted, yes, no human was be able to figure out that technology because it was so far advanced. Because we to this day we still can't even dream about making stuff like this in real life.
Or
You
can
know,
we?
talking about AIs and vehicles, functioning vehicles turning into standing robots. So yeah,
Brother, that's what they want you to believe. Skynet is here. Skynet is real.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Even like okay, but see, Age of Extinction. Who's the big bad guy? A non-Autobot, non-Decepticon. Lockdown. I like Lockdown actually. I like Lockdown.
I thought
I thought Lockdown was
Lockdown
bad.
was an Autobot.
No, he wasn't. Not in Age of Extinction. Age of Extinction, he was just kind of a transformer mercenary. Yeah, his face transformed into a gun. I for sure when I first saw that commercial, I thought that was Galvatron.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, but Age of Extinction, they got real lazy with the transformations. They did some kind of transformium thing where they took they broke down into little cubes and transformed into vehicles and stuff. I thought that was I was like, wow. If it wasn't for the fact that I was a big fan of Transformers, I would be done with this franchise. Also go ahead.
I was gonna say I think that was budget cuts coming into play. That's that's my honest opinion. They trying to make so much money on the movie, then they start being a little restrictive with the budget. You can't really get your effects the way you want them. I'm just thinking that I don't know. I'm just thinking that might have came into play on that.
All right, but also Age of Extinction also had the appearance of the first ever on big screen appearance of the Dinobots. Now, anybody from that watched G1 knows how cool the Dinobots were, and that would be me and you, Roger, because we got Mr. Beast Wars over there, who it was a character named Dinobot. Dinobot was he changed it to a Velociraptor, and he was actually a bad guy, but turned to the Autobot. But he was still quite
honor code. He couldn't get down with the Decepticons because his honor code, so he ended up being a Autobot. Yep. I remember that.
Well, I'm gonna say Age of Extinction. They did the coolness of the Dinobots was not there. The Dinobots was like really cool back then. That's how I remember them, really cool, and it just wasn't there on in Age of Extinction.
Yeah, there was no me Grimlock. That was all I was looking for. Me Grimlock kick butt. Nope. They had these big skeletal-like Transformers that was much bigger than the other Transformers, and they called those the Dinobots. I wasn't too thrilled with the appearance of the Dinobots. I expected something else. Seriously, but I mean, you got to translate this stuff to film. So
but that was a disappointing translation. That was that for a Transformer to be translated wrong. Like that was disappointing. Real talk. I'm sorry. Age of it was just terrible to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, Age of Extinction was trash. Nothing can save you now. Not even this movie. Transformer. Let me say something about the first film. That was one of the last on-screen appearances of Bernie Mac.
Some of my
man, I
bust your head.
I bust your head. I ain't scared of you, mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say he played the hell out that little part. He played the hell out that part.
Okay. So have you seen Bumblebee, Roger?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that out of all of the live action films, that Bumblebee was probably where you rank Bumblebee at?
I would have to say probably somewhere maybe second or third. I have to really think about that because for me one is the top for me.
I would say Bumblebee probably came the closest to G1. It came the closest to G1. It had a great little story, but the problem with Bumblebee, the problem with Bumblebee is you didn't have enough Transformers in it. I mean, Bumblebee and the two Decepticons were enough. Angela Bassett was the voice of Shatter, and there was another Decepticon named Dropkick that came. They were triple changers. Basically, they had two vehicle modes in their robot mode. And triple changers, I think, was something that was explored in the Bay films with Drift. Now, let's move along because let's move this along. Let me show you some side by side comparisons. Y'all gonna love these, hopefully. Okay, all right. Take a look. This is where it starts.
Yeah,
That's
very different.
Shockwave. Yes. Yeah. Now, I'm just gonna say which one's better, which one's. Now, to me, I will have to go along with the Michael Bay Shockwave on this one. I think that Shockwave looks extremely badass.
Yeah, much more threatening. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
much more threatening. Yep. And then that little thing that's under him, it was the driller. It was like this big old Decepticon worm that can dig through just about anything. And it was a real cool building scene with Dark of the Moon. But it was taken out by Optimus Prime, making his re-entry into the scene. Okay. I would say probably one of the characters that really needed a change was Bumblebee. Bumble, Bumblebee is one of the franchise leaders. Like
Um,
actually, when he took on the badass form from Michael Bay, as opposed to his G1, which was kind of a juvenile, mischievous, small robot, he still was kind of a soldier, but still he was like he could almost get his ass whooped by Spike Wiki.
yeah, he was like someone like
Y'all are
like
mean.
yeah, like. But looking at them two together right now, that that G1 looks like like I don't know. I guess like a nerd version of them or something. I don't know. It looked terrible when I'm looking at them side by side with each other.
It's like G1 Xbox, Michael Bay PlayStation 4.
I mean, this looked terrible, man. I'm sorry. Next to each other, this look horrible.
Man, I should I thought about putting the IDW Bumblebee. The IDW Bumblebee looks kind of like the G1, but he looks a little bit better.
Bro, this Bumblebee. You know what? It reminds. He was like the kid brother, and the picture definitely shows he was like a kid brother in the G1 series. Like you're not really taking him as a protector or being tough. Now in the Michael Bay movie, the fact that he was assigned to guard Sam, the way he looked, it made sense. But in this G1 series, it looked like he can't guard nothing but the fridge. Real talk.
That man would. That man, the G1 would barely get away from Starscream. Barely.
They should never be. These two should never be put together again.
So let me see. Let me see. We got Bay at 2. We got G1 at 0. So I'm keeping score. I'm keeping score. All right. Of all the images, and there are a lot more. I missed out on a lot of them, like Grimlock. I don't have him. Ravage. I don't have that one. Okay. Now this was one I was talking about. Blackout. He was the first Transformer to appear in the live action, the Michael Bay one.
Mm-hmm.
This is his G1 counterpart, Vortex. Vortex was a part of the Combaticons. The Combaticons was a 5-member group that could combine to form the giant robot Bruticus. Now, Bruticus was pretty badass, but I could deal with Blackout as opposed to like, maybe I should have put a better Vortex up on the side of this Blackout. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, Blackout look like he's thug life.
All right, we'll put the Bay one at 3. Yeah, and I mean, really, without Vortex as the other members of the group, it wouldn't really, make sense to put these two side by side together. But okay, this is another Combaticon in the same group. The reason why I put Devastator right there because in the first Transformer film they called him Devastator, which was a big mistake. But they renamed him Brawl in the toy line. Now, I mean, really no need because it's really kind of futile to compare the '80s design to the to the Michael Bay designs when it comes to some of these guys. Now, some of the others, you can quite understand. Like this guy right here, Devastator.
Yeah,
This one right here is personal with me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Devastator is my favorite Transformer. The Constructicons were my favorite group. Like, I love seeing them in episodes because I think, yeah, we're gonna see Devastator. Yeah. What in the world is that next to him?
yeah. The G1 series is way better on this one though. It's way better.
Yeah, Michael
Uh,
Bay, he looks like a little sickly there. That Michael Bay one.
I mean, it looked like trash in comparison because Devastator on the G1 series still looks threatening. The other one just
Yeah.
it looks like it's supposed to be in a monster movie or something kind.
Yeah, and the one that's the Michael Bay one, that one actually got beat by Skids and Mudflap, two smaller Autobots that were later scrapped off because people saying that it was too they were acting out racist black stereotypes, but that's another conversation. That Devastator was actually beaten, but
What you talking
he
about, man?
ended up yeah, but Devastator in Revenge of the Fallen got shot by a rail gun from the military. See, once again, the military. But here's a fact about Devastator's G1 presence: he wasn't the most powerful combiner. In fact, he was one of the weaker ones. Devastator, if Optimus Prime could shoot Devastator, and he'll go back into the six Constructicons. Like the other ones, Minosaur, Bruticus, Predaking, they were much stronger than Devastator. But I still like Devastator. I'm gonna get like one of them E-class model Devastators and stand it up in here, stand it up in the room in the man cave. But I'm gonna give this one to G1. I'm sorry, Devastator. Devastator should have got treated better than this. And I will forever resent Michael Bay for that. That was my favorite one.
Michael Bay, if you
Now,
listen, I'm very disappointed in that one. Very disappointed.
okay. Now we got Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. Yeah, if my boy Jose, God rest his soul, was still alive, man, he could tell you about the shit fit I threw when I first saw Megatron's Transformer design. No cannon in the first one. Megatron's cannon is what made Megatron Megatron.
Well, let me say this:
Now,
Megatron only had he only turned into a gun.
well, I was just about to bring that up. For to be such a devastating leader, in his early days, he was a gladiator that like beat everyone. he when he transformed, he size shifted. Like he not only shape shifted, he size shifted into a gun handheld and could only be fired by other Decepticons. Mainly it would be Starscream. I think Soundwave fired him one time too, but this was in the cartoon. But when he shot somebody, it had a really devastating effect. In the beginning of Transformers, the movie, when they broke into the ship, Megatron was like, "Die, Autobots!" And then he transformed. Starscream grabbed him. The second he shot an Autobot, the Autobot went down dead. It was crazy. It was crazy. That's the moment in time that robbed me of my childhood.
Well,
But
I'm gonna say this with these two together. Now the G1 series looks much better. I understood the Michael Bay series is supposed to look different because it's supposed to be totally alien, but everybody else kind of changed the way they look once they analyzed something that was on Earth, and then their look kind of changed. Uh, he Megatron never actually did that in the movie. That he never looked at anything and then kind of changed his design a little bit, which he
yeah, he
certainly
kept.
should have. He should
That was,
have. It's simple.
you're right though. You're right about that, Roger. Megatron was the only one that kept the Cybertronian form as far as his vehicles. But in Dark of the Moon, that kind of shifted a little bit, but it still looked alien like when he transformed into that oil rig truck. But like in Revenge of the Fallen, he was a tank. He was a Cybertronian tank that flew. Uh, and also in the IDW comic book continuity, they kind of corrected that with Megatron. Megatron in a lot of forms turned into a tank. including in that form right there. He would turn into a tank instead of a gun, and it just made him more menacing like that instead of being a handheld. you know,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
was the main. Go ahead.
But no, I was just saying that was actually a good artistic choice for them to go with a tank instead of a gun because the gun just didn't make sense and in those movies you couldn't follow that. You know, if he was turned into a gun and other Decepticons would grab him, yeah, that wouldn't make sense at all.
Yeah, what I didn't like, and what I didn't like about Megatron in Dark of the Moon was the way Sentinel Prime punked him, and it was like it and the girl, the Sam's girlfriend in three roles, the blonde, she psychologically got under Megatron's you can't say skin metal. And Megatron was the reason why Sentinel Prime was defeated. He shot him in the back a couple times. And then Optimus Prime turns around and beheads Megatron. Like just with the quickness. like I'm tired of this stuff. you know.
Mhm.
But anyway, let's move this conversation along. Starscream. Okay. Now I feel okay. Okay. Now look at this. Look at G1 and look at Michael Bay.
I get
Michael Bay.
G1. Now I say I'll get this to G1 as far as this robot design. I actually get this to G1.
Okay, so did we give Megatron to Bay or did we give it to G1?
I gave it G1. Honestly.
Yeah, I gave Megatron G1. Okay, yeah, Starscream. The problem in the movies is Starscream wasn't depicted as ambitious as the G1, his G1 counterpart. Starscream in G1 was very ambitious. He wanted to be the Decepticon leader, even if it like he wanted to usurp Megatron, even if it meant killing him. Like in the cartoon, he shot Megatron in the back point blank. Megatron got up from that. He's like, Megatron, I thought you were deactivated. And Megatron was like, you think one little wimpy blast is gonna take out Megatron? Get out of here, dude. But Megatron always put up with Starscream. He always kept him alive because he knew Starscream was one of those guys. Like, even though Starscream attempted on Megatron several times, Megatron kept him around. It was only the movie where like Starscream threw him in space and Megatron kind of took it salty. And then he decided that, you know what, Starscream's no longer any use to me. I'll go ahead and kill him. But the special thing about Starscream is Starscream has an indestructible spark, which when he doesn't have a body, his spark floats around and manifests into a ghost.
Well, see, I actually thought the fact that the ambition level of Starscream not being there, I thought that was kind of that did a disservice to the film. You know, you needed that. I think would have made it much better had Starscream really been trying to. Yeah, he want to beat the Autobots, but yeah, I want to get rid of Megatron too. It just brings a great added element, and I think it was a bad decision not to really put it in there.
Yeah, and I think that's something that Donnie doesn't know anything about because, like you said, he started at Beast Wars. But yeah, Starscream. I think Starscream's ghost actually appeared in Beast Wars.
Say it again, Donnie.
I said, I'm familiar with Starscream. I remember because that was a show that came on super early in the morning. I remember my mother would get up from work and I would get up and Transformers would be on. I think it was on I want to say TNT. It was on one of the higher
Sci-fi.
number channels. And I just remember, what'd you say?
Sci-Fi Channel when it first came out.
Okay, and I remember watching that in the morning. I just remember Starscream flying off, being like, "No!" Just being a jealous, angry character every time because they thought Megatron was gone. He'd be like, "Yes, I'm in control, yeah!" And then Megatron would pop back up and be like, "No!" He'd be flying off angry.
He wanted that spot. He wanted that top spot. But I mean, to me, that made Starscream who he was just about. So so Michael Bay not to add it into those movies is like it was a big part missing. As far as I'm concerned, it was a big part missing. I understand.
I mean,
my childhood was a little bit better than Donnie's, and he don't know the exact relationship there, but it was a lot missing. in my opinion.
Man, I remember when Megatron and Starscream got out of a trap. Megatron was like, "You set me up, didn't you?" Starscream was no. He was like, Megatron was like, either you're lying or you're stupid. Starscream was like, "I'm stupid. I'm stupid."
Yeah. Well, that probably was a good option though.
Oh man. Oh man. It was the episode. Okay, for those out there watching, that episode was named Triple Takeover. Like it was the episode where the Triple Changers and the Constructicons orchestrated this plan to trap Megatron, and you used Starscream to trap Megatron. They froze him, but they got out of this stuff, and Megatron is Megatron. Blah blah blah. He took the Decepticons back. Like for real. That episode, man, the Decepticons were winning. like like they killed like 5 Autobots. They had to rebuild them. Like they made their parts into a like Blitzwing transformed into a tank, destroyed like 5 Autobots, and put their parts together and made like a throne. Like I said, this is like that was kind of like deep for me. I was like,
Hey,
wow, he's using.
sometimes we get real in the Autobot streets, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's move along. I got like a lot more to these for some reason. Soundwave. Now this was very disappointing. Soundwave, the espionage expert of the Decepticons, using the like he actually held in his chest like 5 or 6 cassettes that could transform into small robots that could do his spying for him. Like one in particular was Laserbeak. Laserbeak like would get in small, hard to reach spots and then record the Autobots plans and stuff like that. Ravage was the same way. His Panther like cassette. Then he had Rumble and Frenzy. That was never brought to the light in the Bay films. In
You
the second film, Soundwave was a satellite.
know what I was the sound wave thing was just, man, they could have did so. I mean, I understand technology had changed and people weren't using tape decks anymore, and they were concerned that the kids wouldn't even understand the reference point or something like that. But man, that could have been done so much better. It just really it didn't even fit. Honestly, in my opinion, it just didn't fit.
I'm sorry, Michael Bay's Soundwave was not Soundwave at all. They could have did something else. They could have did something else to supplement. I mean, and bring in some, Rumble, Frenzy, Laserbeak. I'm not saying bring in all of them because Buzzsaw was basically Laserbeak with another color. Frenzy was Rumble with another color. But you had Ravage, and then you had Ratbat, which was he was the one in the future. Well, the 2005 Transformer. But if you knew anything about G1, you knew about 2005. Um, yeah, but I'm gonna give this one to G1. I'm not gonna give this one to Michael Bay. So we're at 3 Bay for G1.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. He looks so much better, honestly.
Yeah, for real. All right, let's move along. Oh, I did Soundwave twice. Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots. Okay. Quick reference point. His voice is the same person in the movies as it is in the original cartoon, Peter Cullen. All right.
That was the right move to make. Point blank. Period. How honestly, you needed his voice because I
Autobots.
even going to the theaters and everybody was wondering, are they going to get him to do it? We didn't know
It
his
was a
name at the
defining
time.
voice.
Yeah, it was a lot of discussions. I remember at that time, are they going to get the same Optimus Prime?
Yeah,
A lot of people.
anytime you do a show and there was a cartoon version and it was a successful cartoon version, everybody looks for that original voice. Just like when you see these new Batman cartoons come out, they all look for Batman. Who was the dude who did Batman? Mike David. Batman the animated series had a particular voice.
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, Kevin Conroy. Everybody looks for Kevin Conroy to do the Batman voice, just like everybody looks for Mark Hamill to do the Joker voice. These are two voices that are synonymous with the franchise. At this point, the same goes for Optimus Prime. That's the voice you expect to hear. And every time we get an Optimus Prime role going, and it's not a live action, I guess, like a legitimate live action where there's a robot running around, we need to have this same voice.
Absolutely. He's almost as
So
important to the franchise as the icons for the Decepticons and
Right.
Autobots.
Until we acknowledge that Skynet is real and we have the real Autobots pop out, we need this voice.
yeah, so but see, this is where like this character in particular was where the biggest debate was as far as the design change. Even though I felt like they didn't do a horrendous job with Optimus Prime, this one right here is from the first movie. Now the Optimus Prime in the last night looked a lot better. Like he looked like he actually has like kind of some like kind of a bulkier Optimus Prime. Looked like he was more rounded out, more modernized. But yeah, I'm probably with like on this one. I give it to G1 on this one.
I actually
Like
agree with
even
you.
though
I think give it to G1.
yeah, because it's like even though it's an older design and it's more it's based off older. It just looks much better and it's more iconic. It's way more iconic. When you think of Optimus Prime, you're probably gonna think of that G1 design.
What say you, Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I felt like the design for Michael Bay's was adequate for the time. It was, I felt like it was great. He was a big rig. He came out of nowhere. You feel like whenever you see a big rig on the road, you feel like that's the boss of the road. You're not trying to get in front of that mug and slow down. You're not trying to do nothing stupid around that big rig because that big rig commands power and attention. And the way they did that with the flames, I felt like it was on point. When he transformed, I felt like that that image of him commanded authority. So I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was great.
Of course you
But
did.
again, I'm not G1 lineage based like y'all are.
Yeah, I was like, of course you did. I knew you was gonna go there, but it's okay.
Yeah, and also in the third film, The Dark of the Moon, they went ahead and did Optimus Prime with the extended cab that could turn into like actually some weapons for battle.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and he did that in his G1 transformation. Like his extended cab could transform into a couple of other little weapons, but that was only explored in like the first season of the Transformers cartoon. I don't think they did it in like any of the later seasons. The extended cab would always go away when whenever he transformed. And I guess that was a part of changing up the designs and changing up the transformations to fit the times for the movies because there was no way you could get away with his extended cab just disappearing like it did in the cartoon. So I do understand that change, but I still like the G1 design better. So all right, let's move it along. Now, this is an obvious change right here. There was no way that like I just wanted to throw this one in here, just so I can show you where Shia LaBeouf's character came from. So I will ask for no. I will ask for no comparison with this one. Which one you like better? No, because yeah, you have to time appropriate with humans. Like that can't be helped. But Sam Witwicky was based off Spike Witwicky in G1. Um, Spike in the G1 cartoon was also seen with his dad Sparkplug, who dressed the same way, but he was depicted as like a guy that was a little fatter and like older looking. Spike also like his character lasted throughout the entire G1 series. Nothing happened, no change of actors or anything. There was no Mark Wahlberg archetype in the G1 continuity ever. Um, but this is just where he came. This is just where Sam came from. Uh, the fact of the matter is, everybody like even like with my wife, she attached to the Transformers because she liked Shia LaBeouf's character. Shia LaBeouf's character was kind of used more of a comic relief than a guy that would try to help the Autobot Ratchet keep the Transformers up to speed. Because that's what Spike did in the cartoon. He would always help repair the injured Transformers. Uh, so that right there, there's no need to comment. Y'all, you got anything to say, Roger? Did you knew Sam came from Spike?
I didn't know he came from Spike. I mean, I knew about Spike, of course, but I thought the Sam Wiki character was great, and it fit very well, and I didn't miss Spike at all. I just say that it made sense.
Spike,
It made
Spike's Spike. The reason why these two characters are basically the same because Spike's last name was Wiki, so that's where Wiki came from. Yeah, so
Well,
that's Spike.
I just take the Wiki as a nod to the cartoon. That's kind of how I took it. But Spike is I mean, Sam and Spike are really like totally different characters. But
Yeah, they
Sam
are.
is more fit for an alien race to show up and for him to act the way he was. To me, that was just much more fit.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that we're not going to get Donnie on this one right here, but I can't ask Donnie this. What did you think of Sam Witwicky as what he brought to the Transformers movie franchise?
I was little. I enjoyed it to the point to where I was very sour in the fourth one.
Mm. Like I will say one thing that was very unrealistic about Sam was the women he got. Like I mean, he probably could in real life, but really,
Mm,
like two
Okay,
mega hot
no,
chicks now.
so
hold on,
this
hold
is
on,
what
hold
I
on.
do. So the first Transformers, right? She was out of his league. We'll go with that, right? But the difference between her being out of his league and unattainable is the transformer he had as a car. Like so, at a certain point, I expect him to. Oh, you got a transformer? Oh, shit. Okay. Well, then that doesn't make sense that this is your girlfriend. Okay. Now, Transformers 3 as the effect of him having a hot girlfriend, the effect of him having a transformer, and the courage and the confidence that fighting a armada of alien invaders does to you, I expect him to have that type of girlfriend in 3. So, that's the only reason I don't feel like it's not possible. Now, if he didn't have a transformer, if he had a regular Volkswagen Beetle, then yeah, we would have expected him to be with the fat girl that went to band camp.
I mean, honestly, yes, that's exactly how I kind of see it. Bumblebee transformed the type of woman he could get because keep in mind he went from, he went from being regular old Sam Witwicky to Sam Witwicky, the chosen one, the ones that the Transformers showed up looking for. So you know what I'm saying? Your status is through the roof at that point, you know.
Yeah.
And then once you go from I mean, how do I say this? If a man is known for having one really hot woman, is other hot women get interested in it. I'll just say that. So that's not far beyond belief. Yeah, yeah. It's through the roof, man. Your status is through the roof when the Transformers come looking for you.
Okay, now some of these redesigns make sense. Now, if that would have popped up in the first film, I'd have been like the G1 barricade. If they'd have used that barricade in the first film, I'd have been like, man, what are they doing? That's such an outdated that's so outdated. And barricade for like I actually like barricade in the first film, even though he was redesigned for the last night, which was cool too. Barricade was the one Decepticon I think that survived all of the films. Like he was beat, he got beat up, he got worked over pretty good by Bumblebee, but Bumblebee never killed him. So right, like Barricade, I'll just go ahead and get out on the bay. Like there's no gall darn way that G1 design would have worked in that film. Optimus Prime G1 design, maybe not this one. Fellas, are you with me on this one?
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, I'm not that keen on either design, honestly. Um, the Decepticon design, I understand they wanted to make them look menacing, but once they analyzed something and started transforming to Earth like things, I think it should have I think it could have did a better job. I'm just gonna leave it at that. They could have did a better job than that. But it's like they trying to keep him too alien right there.
Okay, so we got a fair enough. We got another one, and I'll say pretty much say I'll give this one to Michael Bay. So Michael Bay is at 4, G1 is at 5. So, all right, on to the next one. Drift. This is definitely Bay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm a
definitely
G1
Bay.
fan. G1 soul.
The Bay version just looks way too badass. It looks like a Transformer / Yoshimitsu from Tekken. The samurai design, yeah, and plus the fact that this one is also a triple changer. I don't remember the original Drift being a triple changer. In fact, I don't even remember the original Drift, to be perfectly honest. I don't think he ever popped up in the original G1 cartoon. This is a G1 design of Drift, though. He might have been in the comic book, but we're going to give that one to Michael Bay. So we're tied. All right. Crosshairs. Now, here's my problem with how the character was used in the film. Crosshairs was taken down by a robot way smaller than him in the film. Like, it was that stupid line, "Don't kill the messenger, or the messenger will kill you." I hated that line. I hated it, and I felt like it was lazy. Crosshairs is a Autobot sniper. That's his original G1. In fact, I think he was probably a Throttlebot. The Throttlebot was like it was a smaller line of Autobots that were sold like in, I would say, the late 80s. They didn't do too well, but that was Crosshairs. Crosshairs Bay design makes it look like he's sporting a coat, and his vehicle design is a lot better. So it's one of those redesigns that just made sense. Crosshairs does, however, looks very human in the face in the Bay continuity, which is not bad. So I will give this one to Bay right here as far as Crosshairs. Now, well, let me see.
To
Do
me,
y'all agree, fellas?
Bay barely wins. Bay wins, but barely.
The only
Really? How?
reason Bay wins to me is because he had a cape. Or
That's
is
it.
that a trench coat?
Yeah, it's kind of like it looked like a little trench coat because it was like kind of wavy as he was walking.
Yeah,
in the
Robo
film.
trench coat
It
wins.
shouldn't have been neither though. It shouldn't have been neither though, because we're talking about robots. So it shouldn't have been neither. So I honestly didn't even like that part. And the only reason that this newer version wins to me is because the G1 version looks so outdated. It's hard to compare it to the Michael Bay version. So it just
Yeah.
barely wins to me.
Now, Skynet, if you're listening, save me because I will make robot trench coats. Don't listen to Mr. Rogers. Robot trench coats, I will learn how to make them and fit them tailor made. Go ahead.
I mean, it's cool for us to wear as humans, but a robot having a trench coat, no, I wasn't buying that in the movie. I wasn't buying it. I looked at it, I was like, that was stupid.
Robots get cold too.
No,
I don't know what they actually do.
Now let's move it along. This is Galvatron. Galvatron. I said he was the leader of the Decepticons because when he was Galvatron in the G1 series, he was definitely the leader of the Decepticons. But he was a little cuckoo due to being thrown off a Unicron and ended up on the planet Char in some molten lava. It messed up his circuitry in his brain. So Galvatron was a lot crazier than Megatron, but he seemed to be a lot tougher. In the movie, Galvatron is Megatron reincarnated. This is Megatron's new body given to him by the Planet Eater Unicron.
Oh,
The
really?
Michael Bay. Go ahead.
No, this is new to me. You know, I'm not G1, so go ahead.
Okay. Galvatron appeared in Transformers: Age of Extinction in this form. He was actually Megatron reincarnated, but was built by humans who found the transformium metal. He transformed into a truck that was very much like a darker version of the original Optimus Prime G1 form. Um, it was a very lazy transformation. It didn't even do this. It was just a bunch of damn cubes that just reshaped itself into a truck. Um, and also, he wasn't the established leader because the threat was lockdown. All Galvatron did was lead a bunch of cookie cutter generic Decepticons that were cannon fodder for the Autobots. The G1 Galvatron actually was in the movie was kind of a liaison for Unicron. Uh, his mission was to destroy the Matrix of Leadership, who was inside of Ultra Magnus after Optimus Prime had died. He actually obtained the Matrix of Leadership, but tried to use it against Unicron. Unicron then transformed into his robot mode and attacked Cybertron. Then we know the history. Hot Rod, well, some of us do. Hot Rod fought Galvatron inside of Unicron. He was able to open the Matrix, become Rodimus Prime, destroys Unicron, throws Galvatron off of Unicron. I'm gonna give this one. Even though the Galvatron for the Michael Bay series looks menacing, very dangerous, very demonic. I'm gonna give it to the G1 because the G1 Galvatron is actually the established leader of the Decepticons at that time,
Mm.
and this Galvatron also was the one that killed Starscream.
Well, I'm gonna say that your heart was in that decision because when it comes to looks, Michael Bay version looks better.
I said it
I
looks a
mean,
lot more menacing.
it does. It does. I mean, it looks better, man. At the end of the day, don't get me. I ain't trying to fight it, but he looked better. Yes, he does look more menacing, but he looks like he's I mean, he ready for business. Just real talk. He look way more menacing.
Are
But
we being honest?
the G1 what's that?
Be honest, Donnie.
If
Be honest, Donnie.
we being honest, I feel like the G1 Galvatron guy is kind of a Shredder knockoff. Look at his helmet. I'm just saying.
Well, Shredder knocked off of him because he was out first.
We going off the anime or the cartoon that was it, not the cartoon, the comic book. He's a knockoff. They knew what they was doing.
So
I
which one
mean,
you
there was
going with?
three-
He looked like Splinter could whip his ass. I'm just being honest.
Okay, so you're going with Bay also.
But you know what? I'm really only going with Bay because that's the only one I know.
Well,
Okay,
I'm going with Bay because he looks better. And Galvatron, don't get me wrong. I mean, he is a reincarnated version of Megatron. So of course, I like Megatron better than I do Galvatron anyway. So the G1 one doesn't really hold weight for me. That Galvatron doesn't really hold weight for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still in some designs I still like the G1 Galvatron. Like I said, if I wanted to make a case, I should have put a better picture up. But well, Bay Galvatron wins this one, even though Bay Galvatron was absolutely meaningless. And also, let me tell you something. Megatron resurfaced in Transformers the last night. How he got back to Megatron from Galvatron was never explained. Galvatron was, to me, was wasted in Age of Extinction because they were still like Lockdown was still the bad guy.
I think really it was them trying to put everything into that last one, and then they said, "Oh, we got another one. Well, let's do it like this."
Yeah, I think the only reason you feel that he was wasted, and this is just my honest opinion, the only reason you feel that Galvatron was wasted is because he was wasted. Because they did totally waste what they could have did with that character. They did. They just did. It just wasn't a good move.
I feel like every time they do these movies, it's a budget issue. Like Michael Bay wants to go for the goal, and then somebody tells him, "Hey, listen, yeah, I'm gonna need you to take it down a notch. You're spending about $3 million more than we want."
He going for gold, but they're like, we cool with a bronze.
Yeah, they're like, this ain't. You need to take it down a notch. This is not Avatar, little buddy.
Okay, and finally, oh God, I did it again. All right, okay, we're good.
Was that the porn folder right there?
Yeah, but this is the last and probably the least. This was probably like Hot Rod in the Michael Bay films was probably the most disappointing to me. I finally waited on Hot Rod to come to the big screen, and this is what they gave us. Hot Rod was described in the Michael Bay films as a brothers at arms with Bumblebee. During the retcon of the story, which was another retcon of the Transformer films that Michael Bay was trying to put out, Bumblebee and Hot Rod fought together in World War II, which did not make any darn sense whatsoever.
This was
Uh,
in the Bumblebee movie.
no. This was in the last night. This Hot Rod appeared in the last night. Yeah. See, the significant thing about Hot Rod is Hot Rod becomes the next leader of the Autobots after Prime. When he like I said, I just described the fight where him and Galvatron was fighting inside Unicron, and Hot Rod picked up the Matrix leadership and opened up the power of the Matrix and released it to destroy Unicron, and ascended to a new form, Rodimus Prime, where he went from like his alt mode was a sports car, but then his alt mode for some reason was a jazzed up RV. like, okay, yeah, we get to hit the road, family. Yeah, in his jazzed up RV named Rodimus Prime.
They were trying to give him size, though. They had to give him some size as the leader.
You can't be a two-door sports car and then blow into the biggest, the leader of the Autobots.
Right.
What you doing short stuff?
Yeah, I get that. I get that, but it's like this. Michael Bay's Hot Rod, I just don't see him becoming the leader of the Autobots.
Not like that.
Not at all. No, not like that. I mean, if he were somehow to change form or something, and just become this spectacular looking guy, then maybe. But is like you'll probably never see this Hot Rod in the movies again. I think next time they do Hot Rod, they do it in the Bumblebee continuity, and it'll be a lot better. But it will have to be the results of the death of Optimus Prime in order for that story to move forward.
Not gonna happen. The audience already loves Bumblebee, so at the end of the day, they would just change it, and he would become the leader rather than Hot Rod anyway.
Okay, so who? Okay, so the design. Who would you give this to? Who would you give this to? Would you give it to Bay Hot Rod or would you give it to G1 Hot Rod?
G1. Actually, I do like G1, but Bay's Hot Rod just slightly a bit better, just slightly.
Yeah, this is a toss up to me. Like they're not that far from each other. I'll go and give it to G1, honestly.
I'm gonna give it to G1 too, just because of the iconography. Like, just because he was this is the guy who was actually the next in line to take over as Autobots. I mean, and I know we're talking about look. I feel like the look is better too, even though it looks like that Michael Bay's Hot Rod could kick some butt. I just feel like that. I don't know. It's not right. I felt like Hot Rod should have just been better. Go ahead, bro.
You know what? The way he's designed, it looks almost female the way he's designed on the Michael Bay version.
Why? At least you got some boots on. You got some high heel boots.
Nice chest too.
Well, here's a final tally. It is 7-6 of the designs we showed. It's 7-6. Michael Bay.
Oh, wow.
The reason why I feel like the reason I factored the reason that probably mostly factors in is the fact that the modernization of it all. Some of these guys just look better in their Bay form than they did in their G1 form.
Well, Bumblebee blew it for G1.
Bumblebee really
blew it for G1.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So,
those two pictures together. That was hilarious, but my bad.
But let me talk about this. Me and one of my friends back in, I say 2008 or was it 2009? before Revenge of the Fallen came out. He had made the comment to me that the Transformers were going to be the next great film series on Star Wars level.
Oh wow, that's ambitious.
Yeah, that was very ambitious, and I was like, nah, I want Transformers to be that good at the time because I was such a fan. But after Revenge of the Fallen, I like any time like if you're talking about Star Wars level, you're talking about the New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. You're talking about some epic films, and Transformers didn't quite do that. Now, if you had the first film and then the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth were just as epic, if not more epic, then we'll be talking that Star Wars level stuff. But these films I felt like were kind of rushed. Like after the first film, it became cookie cutter. Revenge of the Fallen, explosions, blah blah blah. Dark of the Moon, explosions, blah blah blah. Age of Extinction, everything changes, explosions, blah blah blah.
But you know what though, they mishandled one of the most important things, in my opinion, because you had no Sam Witwicky because Shia LaBeouf didn't want to come back to the films. From what I heard, I don't know how true that is, but I heard that Shia LaBeouf didn't want to come back to Transformers. They could have did a much better job of explaining, in my opinion, of why Sam was no longer there and why they reconnected to different humans. To me, they should have did a much better job with that. That's just my opinion.
Well,
the storyline
what they kind of what do you think that the Michael Bay films could have done without?
Could have done without?
Yeah, could have done without. I'll give you an example. I think they could have did out with a lot of the cookie cutter stale humor. Now, the humor in the first film was on point, especially when the dude got speared to the swimming pool. Anthony Anderson's cousin. Yeah, I thought that was kind of all right. Yeah. In Age of Extinction, there was some corny jokes, but you can tell they were just Age of Extinction was trying to be somewhat like the other films. One thing that I felt like kind of ruined the film for me is when old boy drove up in that car and hit the guy in the face with the tire, and it didn't do anything, but just kind of hit him. It didn't knock his face off like it should have.
For me, what could have changed from Michael Bay's what Michael Bay's films did not need was Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if they could have did without anything to make them as decent of a film once you went from 3 to 4. I'm just saying. If you took something out, they might not even be as good as they were. Because the Sam Witwicky situation they handled that so terribly. It just set a bad taste in my mouth after that.
Okay, so the question is, which film is the worst Transformer film? Age of Extinction or The Last Night?
Night.
You say The Last Night is worse than Age of Extinction?
Last Night was reminiscent of Terminator. With the Terminator, where they went into the future. Which one was that one? The one that failed epically, and it had Christian Bale.
Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, it was very apocalyptic. It was like, oh yeah, no, the Transformers. Yeah, we gotta escape. We live in Chicago, but it's a nah. I was like, what is going on here? I was over it.
Yeah, I probably have to give the worst one Age of Extinction. First of all,
go ahead.
No. I'm just saying the human characters were a lot worse in Age of Extinction than it was in The Last Night. The Last Night, and they both have their levels of bad because, like in The Last Night, you have undeveloped characters and like a lot of plot holes. One thing that I hated about The Last Night, they brought an element from Transformers Transformers Prime. Transformers Prime is like the computer animated cartoon that's on Netflix. They made Unicron, the Planet Eater. They made him the center of the Earth, and Unicron started to come out as Cybertron got closer to the Earth. And like in the last night they were trying to pull. I think was it the last night they were trying to pull Cybertron to Earth for some reason, and Unicron started to come out of the center.
You know what? It might have been Age of Extinction. Age of Extinction was the last one, right? I know last night was the last.
Well, Bumblebee was technically the last one, but last night is the last one in that series.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because Bumblebee was technically a prequel.
I think it was last night because last night was kind of like we don't have anything left. Let's see what we can just go for broke.
Honestly, to me they were both Hail Marys. I'm just gonna keep it real. The Last Night and Age of Extinction to me were Hail Marys.
Age of Extinction banked on introducing the Dinobots.
But they did such a poor job of displaying who the Dinobots were. So it was two Hail Marys. I mean, you knew the game was lost, And for those who don't understand, I'm talking about a football reference. It's like we know the game is lost. we down by 6. We got to get this touchdown and an extra point. So it just seemed like they was 99 yards. We need this play to happen right now. It was just seemed like Hail Marys.
All right. Well, let me go back to the other folder. I'm gonna tell you what. Yeah, I'm gonna show you. Like, let me see. Let me go back to the other folder. Let me show you. This right here was the best Transformer film. It still holds up to this day. Transformers the movie, the best one. I don't know if you guys agree. I don't think Donnie has seen it because this came after him. I mean, this came before him. I know you've seen it, Roger.
Yes.
So would you say it still holds up to this day as the best film?
I mean, as a movie goes, this was. I mean, it was it was pretty solid. I'm trying. To me, it'd be between this one and Transformers 1. But yeah, it's hard to say this is not good. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is just a special place to me. Real talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, look at that. You know what that picture right there is representative of? Optimus Prime about to do your boy. You know what that's representative of? Michael Bay stabbing all of us in the back.
You're wrong for that. But I'm not gonna.
Look at that.
I'm not gonna put it on Michael Bay. I think this was I think it was kind of too many suits. When people start making these great movies, and then you got these Hollywood people that tell them what they can and can't do. To me, suits ruin a lot of projects. So I think I'm gonna assume that the suits kind of ruined what was going on because the first 3 films was so on point and so solid. In my opinion, they were solid. I understand stuff had to be different because they translated it from cartoon media to live action media. So I have to accept certain stuff has to change. But I think it was just too many suits involved with the changes that they were making.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody in Hollywood hears this, let these folks make their movies, man. Leave them alone. They know what we want to see. Y'all keep getting money and force me not to give you my money.
Yeah, but see but here's the thing though. Michael Bay even said like himself that he felt like he knew better than the fans. Like, he was just like
that's
he said it. He was like, hey, shut up, fans. This is my film, and I know what's best for it.
Well, you also got to think that when they make these movies, and Michael Bay, he's a big monster in making films because of what he done in Avatar. So a lot of people give him a lot of credence in what he does, right? But if you look at these movies in general, because he had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too, which is a huge franchise. These movies make a lot of money, but I know that they have a huge dependency on merchandise. They know that that these movies are going to be great, but they also have to do it so that the merchandise is just as great, if not better.
Yeah, you know what he's telling us to do right now in that picture? Talk to the hand. That's what he's telling us.
Well, you know,
I will not give you a film that is for the ages.
Well, I mean, honestly, that if he said that, that was just a dumb statement to make out loud. Period. Like you could think it, but you don't say it. You know, and
but Michael Bay, like he's a very egotistical man, though. Like he's on record of being egotistical. Like when he was like, when he was doing Armageddon, Ben Affleck has this story. Wouldn't it be easier just to train astronauts to be drillers instead of training drillers to be astronauts? Michael Bay then told him to shut the F up. And that was the end of it.
I mean, the statement does bear some weight, if you ask me.
Oh, I'm just saying that was who we was dealing with as far as Michael Bay anyway. Well, anyway, what's the final verdict? So you say Michael Bay did good, Roger? You think he did good for the most part?
I can't say he did good because I was taught. Shout out to, well, I ain't gonna give his name, but shout out to one of my old teachers who always said a last impression is a lasting impression. So he started off great, but then 4 and 5 he kind of fell off.
That's because he was trying to switch up everything. Everything has changed.
What did he do Bumblebee, or was that somebody else?
The new guy named Travis. Some Travis Knight or something like that.
Okay, well then
Travis.
You know what? It sounded like this. He had 3 good quarters of a game. 4th quarter was bad, so they had to go into overtime. Then he blew overtime. That was his 5th film. He blew overtime. That's how I got to look at that. He had, if it's like basketball, he had 3 good quarters. That 4th quarter was bad, and then you blew it in overtime. So, I'm not looking for you next year.
Yeah, but let's see. Yeah, it was it's a guy named Travis Knight. Yeah, Travis Knight they should really let him keep the franchise if they do decide to make a Bumblebee 2. And I heard Bumblebee 2 might be actually in production. So hey, let's keep our fingers crossed and hopefully we'll get the Transformer movie that we finally want. I mean, you say that the first 3 was pretty.
I really did like the first one, honestly.
Yeah, I like the first one too. The second one was kind of this like I said, Devastator killed it for me. Like just the whole I'm under the thing's balls. Like, oh man, I'm like, what? You do that to Devastator? That's Devastator. Constructicons build, Devastator destroys. That's what we needed. But I'm not gonna go with it anymore. But yeah. So what's the final verdict, guys? Can the Transformer franchise recover from Michael Bay?
I think they can because Bumblebee went over well. To my understanding, it went over well with people, and you can build from there. Now the thing is, how are you going to do your continuity at that point? Because especially if you don't have the wikis involved at all.
They do resets all the time. They can. I feel like they can build something, whatever they want to with it. But are they going to take a cue from Marvel and let somebody be in direction and give them final verdict? That's what.
Well, they tried to do that. They tried to do that with The Last Knight. They had They had Akiva Goldsman at the head, and they brought in what was his name, Robert Kirkman, the writer of The Walking Dead, and then they brought in some other writers. But after the last night, they scrapped the whole thing. They disbanded that writing team. They took Akiva Goldsmith off. Um, and they gave the ball to Travis Knight. It was like Travis Knight said, let me have a crack at it. And what Travis Knight did was prove Michael Bay wrong. And saying that you can kind of use, as long as it makes sense, you can kind of use the original G1 designs as long as it makes sense. But it's like this. Would I mind seeing another Transformer film? No, not at all. I wouldn't mind seeing it as long as like seeing it done like Bumblebee. Yeah, it kind of gave it a breath of fresh air to me. So, Dunny, I do recommend you check that movie out ASAP. I mean, just when you get the chance. I wouldn't say this is something you have to just like beat down the door to go see, like to try to watch. But it's a good watch.
Yeah,
I mean,
you won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed. And honestly, if especially after seeing Bumblebee, if they put another Transform movie out, I am gonna go see it.
Yep.
Fair enough.
All right, guys. Well, look like this is about it. Oh, we got some comments. Reigning Woman. Hey guys, at the Black Dimension. Yes.
Shout out to Rain and Woman.
Well, all right. This is gonna be the end of it for right now, guys. This is Kev, and I thoroughly enjoyed this Transformer discussion, and I really want to revisit Transformers one day, maybe in another form or so. Maybe down the road. So, any last words, fellas?
Nope.
No, I'm good. I'm finna transform into another mode.
Well, all right, guys. That's it. We are the Black Dimension, and we are out. Remember, the Transformers more than meets the eye. Subscribe to the Black Dimension. Thank you.